any conception of modern Islamic state is self-contradictory. Okay, what about non-modern Islamic state? We'll call it non-modern Islamic state, Mr. Hallaq. And obviously, that means that basically Islam would be left to at the social level and at the individual level or communal level, as is. So either this is a form of anarchism, or is asking us to treat modern state as a fact of life and just concentrate on implementing Islam at the social and individual level. But even if it was Islamically permissible, it's impossible in the long run, because modern state is a leviathan. It's an all-encompassing thing. So obviously, Mr. Hallaq, what he is arguing for is for Muslims to abandon Islamic struggle against imperialism and capitalism, because you can't struggle against imperialism and capitalism without struggling at all three levels: at the level of state, at the level of community, at the level of individual, and forming a state which can overwhelm imperialism at one day. A universalist state which is locally situated, but it has capacity to expand and overcome imperialism one day, inshallah. Obviously, he knows his position is ridiculous. That's why he puts a long footnote. Let us read it, and then we'll continue from there. So basically, he is against the notion of Islamic state, and is just trying to present that rejection in a more roundabout way. Okay, so let's look at this footnote, and then we'll stop there and continue from there next time. Okay, as we shall see in the course of his monograph, that our argument will unfold in various directions, since it depends on and therefore is determined by large phenomena and structure the modern project as a whole. In modernity, a skeptic should, so he's already defensive. A skeptic should take note that I advocate no view whatsoever to the effect that Islamic law or Islamic governance has no place in the world. But if Islam doesn't have a state, then it means that you implement whatever Islam you have at communal or individual level. But that community is to large extent shaped by the state, which we hopefully are only a dogmatic, narrow and myopic vision, calling names, can allow for such an interpretation. Thus, must be said once and for all that the argument of this book rests on the premise. What's the premise? That the creative, now these too many words, reformulation of the Sharia, creative reform. Is this some sort of usuli device or what? Creative reformulation. Mean ijtihad, and Islamic governance may be one of the most relevant and constitutive ways to reshape the modern. So he wants to reform modernity. So he wants Muslims to. So his whole talk about modern nation state and all that, you might get the impression that he is against modernity or against nation states. No, he wants to reform. He wants to reform modernity like any postmodernist, and he wants to use Islam to reform modernity. But we want to destroy modernity. We don't want to reform modernity. One that is in dire need of moral reconstruction. It doesn't have any morality. We reject modern morality as Shaitan's version of the universalization of self-worship. So and that is no morality. That's the rejection of all morality. This reconstitution and its political and legal spin-offs cannot be conceivable for Muslims without a correct diagnosis of the problem of Islamic State. Muslims have no interest in reforming modernity, or should not have any interest in. We don't want to reform. How can you reform La ilaha illa al-insan, for example? This also explaining why a robust proposal of such a future reconstruction must await a genuine understanding of the multi-layered contradiction in the concept of Islam. Contradiction from whose perspective? Maybe there are contradictions from the perspective of reformed modernism, which want to use Islam for reforming modernism. So this is Hallaq's project. Now, I don't. It doesn't surprise me. As a kafir, he can do whatever he wants. But what surprised me is what makes knowledgeable Muslims, even those who are orthodox Muslim, impressed by this guy. I don't understand. Anyway, we'll continue, inshallah.